ETS Jets. What is going on, guys? And welcome back to another episode of the Jets Ward. I am your host, Ryan Ward. I'm so excited to be back with you guys. I got a fun one for you guys in this episode. But first, if you have been here before, welcome back. I always love having you guys back in the Jets Ward with me. You guys make it so much fun being here, and I love making these videos for you guys. I'll always love you and appreciate your support. If you are new here, welcome. Whether you are a Jets fan or a fan of another team, you are always welcome in the Jets Ward, no matter what. I always love having new people here. This is a safe space for you. But guys, like I said, I have a fun one for you today. And what we are going to be talking about. Previously, I made a video of potential cut candidates for the New York Jets. But Jets aren't the only NFL team. I know we love talking about them here in the Jets Ward, but there are 31 other NFL teams, and I'm going to talk to you guys about players that could be cut candidates for their respective team and potential fits for other NFL teams, just in case these players were cut. And I'll give you some reasonings why, and I would love to hear feedback from you guys and to get information of what you guys think. And before we get into that, guys, people who watch my videos, 95% of them are not subscribed. Please, when you come in, if you like what you see, please hit that subscribe button. It always makes me so happy and I appreciate it. It helps the channel out so much. So please, if you want to, if you enjoy this content, hit that like button and subscribe. So getting into it, guys, the first player that we are going to be talking about, we're going to Buffalo. And one player is Curtis Samuel, wide receiver. He has been with Buffalo for the past couple years. He's 28 years old. I think he's a cut candidate because, one, they've just recently signed Josh Palmer as a free agent wide receiver. They just got Elijah Moore, who is a slot receiver, just like Curtis Samuel is. And they've been adding to that receiving core already. Khalil Shakir has already been there. Keon Coleman is already there. They have a really big wide receiver room already. And Curtis Samuel might be the odd one out. And for cap purposes, too, it could save them up a good amount of money. Now, like I said, he's 28 years old. He deals with some injuries every now and again. When he was with the Commanders, he dealt with some injuries. Buffalo, he hasn't really done much for them. So I think they'd be okay cutting him. But the places I see him being a good fit, I could see the Browns going after him, taking a flyer on him, get another receiver to go along with Jerry Jeudy. You need a slot receiver. You let go of Elijah Moore, who was with the Buffalo Bills. I think he could be a good fit for them. Get another weapon for your young quarterback there in Dylan Gabriel or Shore Sanders, or for your older veterans like Joe Flacco or Kenny Pickett. Get more weapons over there. So I think he could be a good fit for the Browns. Jaguars, too. They lost Christian Kirk. They traded him away to the Houston Texans, so they could be in use of a slot receiver to go along with Travis Hunter and with another receiver. I forget what his name, Brian Thomas Jr. Go along with him. That would be a good couple of receivers for Trevor Lawrence to use. So another weapon for them. So Jaguars could be in the hunt for him as well if he were to be cut. And the Raiders too. The Raiders' weapons really aren't that spectacular when it comes to the receiving core. Their tight ends, they have two really solid tight ends. Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer is still there. Two solid tight ends. The receiving core, Jacoby Myers is their number one, who would be a number two on any other team. Get him Curtis Samuel to help out Geno Smith as well, and I think that could be a really good move for them. So the Browns, Jaguars, and Raiders could be really good fits for Curtis Samuel if he were to be cut by the Buffalo Bills. Now, moving into my next guy, Travis Etienne. We already brought up the Jaguars, but there's been rumors already that Travis Etienne could potentially be cut. They have drafted a new receiver or running back in Jacksonville who could take his spot. He's 26 years old, so he's still pretty young. Team fits that I think would be really good for him. He's really good coming out of the backfield, receiving the ball. He's really quick, has dealt with some injuries though. But some of the teams that I think he could be a really good fit for, the New Orleans Saints as a backup to Alvin Kamara and then potentially a starter there when Kamara goes, I think could be really, really good for him. Sit behind one of the better running backs in the league in Alvin Kamara, who is getting up there in age. I think could be a really good fit for them, and adding some young talent to that roster as well, especially now that your starting quarterback retired. Get some more young talent in there to help out your two young quarterbacks in Desmond Ridder and Tyler Shuck. Another team, the Bengals. Bengals could always use more offensive firepower, and I think adding Travis Etienne to that offense that already has Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Burrow, and all of these other slew of weapons, I think Travis Etienne could just be another firepower for the Cincinnati Bengals as they try to rebound from a down year last year. And the last team, the Bears. The Bears have weapons when it comes to the receiving. They have two great tight ends in Cole Kmet and Colston Loveland now, who they just drafted. Running back is still a little down for them. I think Travis Etienne could go in there as a young running back and be another solid weapon for Caleb Williams. I think these three teams could be good fits for him because there's been rumors about him being a cut candidate for the Jaguars, and these would be the best teams that I think he would go to. Where I think he would go, I think the Bears would be the best fit for him going into that offense where Caleb Williams could use another security blanket. I think could be a really good benefit for the Bears, but the Saints and Bengals could definitely use his services too if he were to be cut. Now, continuing on, I got two Tennessee Titans back to back, and this is one where he's been rumored that when he was coming out of the draft, the Jets were possibly interested in him as a receiver. There were other teams that were interested in him. He was looked at as like a Quincy Enunwa type of receiver. Very physical, tough, not the fastest, but tough hands and just really hard to bring down. And it really hasn't been the case with Treylon Burks for the Tennessee Titans. He's been basically an afterthought and really hasn't shown much for the Tennessee Titans. So a new team could be a really good thing for Treylon Burks. He's only 25 years old, so he could definitely have a big turnaround. He's a possession-type receiver. He's a bigger guy, stronger guy, can block a little bit, but he's not going to wow you with speed. He's a physical guy. And the team fits that I think could be beneficial for him, the New England Patriots, I think could be really good. Now, I say the New England Patriots, but when Treylon Burks was drafted, Mike Vrabel was the coach of the Tennessee Titans. So he got a really good look at him. So it could be an interesting fit for him to go back to his old coach. But apparently Mike Vrabel wasn't really happy when they drafted Treylon Burks because they traded A.J. Brown and replaced him with Burks. So Patriots might not, but they could use another weapon. He's still young. Vrabel knows the player, so we could possibly get the best out of him. I doubt that it happens, though, but it could be a good fit for him if it were to happen. The Jets as well. The Jets need another receiver. I know we have Allen Lazard, Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson's a number one. He's a stud. But behind him, you really don't got much. You got Allen Lazard, who had issues with injuries and drops last year. Josh Reynolds, injuries and drops. More drops, I believe, or just as much drops as Allen Lazard. You got Tyler Johnson, who's an unknown, who's a solid number 3, number 4 receiver. Malachi Corley. The only thing we remember him about was the Jets were really high on him last year, and then we gave him the ball once. He fumbles right before he gets into the end zone, drops the ball, and you never see him again. So there's a lot of things that go with him. Xavier Gibson could be a cut casualty for the Jets. There's a lot of mystery when it comes to the Jets receiving core, and we're making it a point to get younger. Treylon Burks fits that age, and he's a possession-type receiver, which could complement Garrett Wilson a ton. So maybe AG could get the best out of him. Maybe Tanner Engstrand could put him in a position to get the best out of him. The last time the Jets went after a Tennessee Titan receiver, Corey Davis. Corey Davis was decent for us, dealt with a lot of injuries, but it's tough. I loved Corey Davis as a Jet, but just never really worked out that often for us and was very injured a lot. Treylon Burks could be a different story. He's younger, could come in, and like I said, still has a ton of upside and meets that age requirement that the Jets are looking for when we want to get younger and bank on upside for these players. But this is just if he's cut. These are players that I'm going through that could possibly cut. And the Raiders, again, they could always use another weapon to go along with Jacoby Myers and Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer. So the Raiders could be up there in the market for another receiver as well. They just lost Hunter Renfrow. He retired and then came back and signed with the Carolina Panthers. So there's receivers over there that could be cut because they've got a slew of receivers now. So Treylon Burks to the Raiders could definitely be an interesting thing. I know the Amari Cooper and the Raiders have interest in each other, so that could become a thing. But if Treylon Burks is cut, the Raiders, I think, could be a good fit for him. Where he ends up going, I think the Raiders would be the best fit for him. So continuing on, said we got another Tennessee Titan, Will Levis. There's been rumors of all offseason about him possibly getting traded, him competing for the quarterback spot with Cam Ward. We know he's not going to win. They drafted Cam Ward to be their starter. Will Levis is looked at as being a trade candidate, but if they can't find a trade partner, I could definitely see them cutting him. He is still really young, but has shown flashes. I don't think a team's going to want to give up draft capital for him, though, because he hasn't shown much, and he's shown a lot of boneheaded mistakes. He is young. He was a project coming out of college, and it just didn't pan out in Tennessee. A new place could benefit him really, really well. He's only 25 years old, so he can definitely turn it around. Cannon of an arm. He's an athletic quarterback. So there's a lot of teams that could take that and try to mold him and get him better. And the first team that I think of when it comes to needing a quarterback is the Pittsburgh Steelers. A-Rod is not signed with them yet, so they still don't. They have Mason Rudolph, who Will Levis played with last year in Tennessee. They drafted Will Howard, who I think has a lot of potential coming out of Ohio State, but he's still a rookie. You don't know what you got from him. Will Levis, if he is cut from the Tennessee Titans, I think could be a good fit for Pittsburgh to see what they have in a young franchise quarterback. And if he doesn't work out, then you got Mason Rudolph to start games for you until Will Howard is ready. So Pittsburgh could be a good fit for him. Saints could be a good fit for him, especially now that Derek Carr retired. They could be in the need for a quarterback, and you bank on his upside. You got Tyler Shuck, who is an older rookie, 27 years old. Will Levis is younger than him. So definitely could be somebody who you would go to rely on, who has NFL experience starting games already. So he could be somebody you'd look at to be a franchise quarterback. Plays in a dome, so we wouldn't have to deal with the elements and everything. So Saints could be an option. Vikings, too. They're going to start J.J. McCarthy, but you bring in Will Levis as a backup. O'Connell can make any quarterback really, really good, it seems like. He made Sam Darnold have a resurgence last year. J.J. McCarthy has a lot of trust in him. Kirk Cousins played really well, had the best career in Minnesota while working under O'Connell. Maybe he can do something with Will Levis and turn his career around, make him get the best out of himself and gain that confidence again. But these are the three teams that I feel like would fit Will Levis if he were to be cut the best. Okay? Now, continuing on, another quarterback going up, Joe Flacco. The Browns have 5 quarterbacks. They got Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, who they traded for. They got Shedeur Sanders, who they drafted in the 5th round. Dylan Gabriel, who I believe they drafted in the 3rd round. And they got Deshaun Watson, who's rehabbing from injury. It's going to be a massive competition over there for the QB. And a lot of people think that Joe Flacco is going to end up starting. People think that Kenny Pickett will end up starting to start the season. People think that Shedeur Sanders will end up starting for them right off the bat. Flacco has a potential of being a cut candidate because he's 40 years old. He did not look great last year in Indianapolis, and that's why he became a free agent again. He's 40 years old. The teams that I think he could be best fit for are teams that are ready to win. I believe, and I'm going to say the same thing. The Saints could definitely use him. They could use that veteran leadership as a mentor to Tyler Shuck and Desmond Ridder. The Steelers have a solid defense. Maybe Joe Flacco can catch fire in a pan again and just give you something to bring you to the playoffs and maybe win in the playoffs because he's got that good record in the playoffs. But I don't know if Pittsburgh would want to do that. He's played in that division with the Ravens and the Browns. Maybe go back to the Steelers and play for a 3rd team in that division. That could be a good fit for him if he's cut. And the Vikings too, solid backup to McCarthy to help guide him as well and help him get over those obstacles as a new NFL quarterback. Because this is basically going to be McCarthy's rookie year. He was injured all season last year. This is where he's going to get to play. You don't get a better backup than Joe Flacco when it comes to mentoring and helping out a young guy, a young quarterback, because this guy's done it all. Super Bowl champion. He's been one of the top playoff quarterbacks. He's a great mentor. Did what he could to get the Browns in the playoffs years ago after Deshaun Watson went down. this guy could do something for them and be a great mentor for them. But continuing on, going into another quarterback, Jameis Winston, just like Joe Flacco, Jameis Winston's in a situation where there's quarterbacks on his team that could bump him out. They signed him to a 2-year deal, the Giants. Then they went out and signed Russell Wilson to a 1-year deal. Then they went and drafted Jackson Dart. He's the future of that organization. They got Tommy DeVito there as well. Now, it's more likely Tommy DeVito might get cut, but he's been there for a while. So the coaching staff knows him and they trust him. Russell Wilson, I don't think is going to be cut. I think he's going to end up being the starter for them. Jackson Dart's going to end up being the backup. And then what? You're going to pay all this money to Jameis Winston to be your third quarterback? I don't think that's going to happen. And in all honesty, if he doesn't get traded, I think cutting him would be the most beneficial thing for the Giants and him, even though they just signed him. He's 31 years old. He's got so much talent. He's got a great arm, but does make a lot of mistakes as a quarterback, throws a ton of interceptions, but throws just as many touchdowns. The best fits for him, again, Steelers, Saints, and Vikings. They could all use quarterback help. There's other teams too. Maybe the Patriots could use a solid backup as well when it comes to a backup quarterback for Drake May. There's so many teams. The Dolphins could definitely use another one. They got Zach Wilson. They drafted Quinn Ewers. But can you trust Zach Wilson to be your backup? Because you know Tua's going to get hurt at some point. Jameis Winston can come in and win you some games. The Bears maybe could bring him in as a backup to Caleb Williams. There's so many places that he could go, but I think these three fits. If he wants a starting job, the Steelers would be his best place, and so would the Saints. Could he go back to the Saints if he's cut? Definitely could. I know they know him and like him over there. So these are the teams I see him fitting with. And continuing on, hitting the Steelers. This is an interesting one because this kid is really young. He was only drafted a couple of years ago by the Pittsburgh Steelers, and this was somebody coming out of the draft who a lot of teams really, really liked and had a lot of talent. This is DeMarvin Leal, defensive lineman, defensive end. Coming out of college, he was a beast, monster, could cause havoc anywhere on the defensive line that he was playing. You could bump him in and out. He could be like a John Franklin Myers type of player. He's 24 years old, but he's coming off a bad neck surgery, so that he could be dealing with a lot there. But the issue and the reason why I'm saying he could be a cut casualty is the Steelers just drafted Derek Harmon, who's a highly touted defensive lineman on that team. DeMarvin Leal could get overshadowed by this kid. DeMarvin Leal has had a disappointing NFL career in his short tenure. He could definitely be a cut candidate for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And if he does, I think he'd fit well with the Jets, honestly. I think the Jets would be the best place for him. Young defensive lineman, has a ton to prove. I think he would fit that aggressive defensive style that the Jets are going to play. And face it, the Jets have, other than Quinnen Williams, we have a lot of mystery on that defensive tackle group. We have Leonard Taylor III, who we're hoping takes a giant leap forward this year as an undrafted rookie last year. We hope he takes a step forward this year. Derek Nottie, who we're getting from the Chiefs, who is a solid number 2 defensive tackle for years next to Chris Jones, but he doesn't do much for you in the pass rush game, more as a run stuffer. You got Wharton that we signed as a defensive tackle. Again, or Cowart that we signed as a defensive tackle that we got from the Bears. Again, okay, not great. And we signed 2 undrafted rookie free agents with Fatorma Molba and Peyton Page, who we really, really like as Jets fans. But you can get somebody with a high draft profile and somebody who could really turn it around. And in most cases with defensive line, it does take him a little while. DeMarvin Leal could have a nice rebound with the Jets if he were to be a cap casualty with the Pittsburgh Steelers. The kid loves football. He's a dog, and I would think he would be a really good player for the New York Jets if cut by the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Bengals could definitely use him too. Any defensive line help they can get, I think they would go after. And the Falcons too. Great. They lost Grady Jarrett to the Bears this offseason. They drafted 2 edge rushers on the outside. They could use a little bit of help on the interior. This kid could fit that young defensive front for the Atlanta Falcons as well and be that aggressive guy for years to come for them. But this is just if he's cut. There's a lot of hype with him. 24 years old, still young, tons of upside. I think the Jets would be the best fit for him if cut by the Pittsburgh Steelers, though. Continuing on, Bryce Huff. This kid was a complete and utter disaster for the Philadelphia Eagles. They signed him to a big, big deal after the Jets didn't re-sign him last year, and he didn't even suit up for the Super Bowl. He was just a very big disappointment, did not fit in that defense at all in Philadelphia, and it sucks because we, as Jets fans, we really liked the guy. He did so much for us as an undrafted rookie. I think another team that it could go to on here could be the San Francisco 49ers, because I know Robert Saleh loved this kid, or the Atlanta Falcons too, by that chance, to be a rotational piece. But he's 27 years old, coming off a really bad year, needs to prove himself. The best teams that I think he could go to, the best fits, the Detroit Lions, as a third down rotational piece, defensive edge, pass rushing situations. I think he could be solid in that Detroit defense. I think the aggressiveness that he could bring, he's hungry. He needs to rebound after the disaster in Philly. I think the Lions could be a great fit for him and help him turn his career back around into what it should be right now as a solid third down edge rusher, pass rusher. The Vikings, the aggressiveness too. I think Brian Flores could get this kid to reach his potential and even break through that and be better. That's a physical defense over there. I think they could use more rotation on the edge rushing position. I think he could fit that deep Brian Flores defense really, really well. And the Steelers too. The Steelers are getting older on their edge rush. J.J. Watt, not J.J. Watt, T.J. Watt has been getting hurt the past couple of seasons, so he's not 100% every year. He does miss a lot of games. Cameron Hayward is getting older as well. He's not going to be playing for much longer, in my opinion. DeMarvin Leal, I just said, could be a cut candidate over there as well. Bryce Huff could come in and give you some youth on that defensive edge and give you some pass rush on it as a third down edge rusher. He could be a good fit for them. I think the best place for him would be the Lions, though, just to give him that aggressiveness back and to put him in a situation to rush the passer. And continuing on, another edge rusher, another 27-year-old, DJ Wonnum. The Panthers drafted two edge rushers, Nick Scorton being one of the big ones. DJ Wonnum had a good year last year for Carolina, but they are overhauling that defense. They cut Jadeveon Clowney. Wonnum could be next. He's an older guy, 27 years old. I think the best fits for him, the Lions, the Vikings, like I just said for Bryce Huff, and the Bengals. The Bengals with Trey Hendrickson, you don't know what's going to happen with him. Bring in DJ Wonnum, who is young and can still give you some power and speed off of that edge. I think the Bengals would really, really like him, and I think he would fit that defense pretty well over in Cincinnati. DJ Wonnum, if cut, could be a candidate to be cut. Continuing on, another one, the Saints. They've been beefing up that offensive line, taking tackles in the last two drafts, Calvin Banks being one this year. Trevor Penning, who was drafted not too long ago, a couple of years ago, could definitely be a cut candidate because he's just been a disappointment. Has not been able to stay on the field, has not been very consistent as well as a tackle. Very, very bad with the penalties too. We loved his aggression coming out, his size, his aggression, his run blocking, but he just has not been able to pull it together in the NFL as of now. He's only 26 years old, so he could turn it around. I think maybe bumping him into guard could be a very beneficial thing for him, just like the Eagles did when they got Mekhi Becton, who wanted to play tackle, but he struggled at times with it, especially on the right side. Move him into guard, and I think that could definitely be something that could benefit him really, really well. And he could use his physicality more there. So as a run blocking guard, I think could be very beneficial to him. Team fits that I think could be beneficial for him. The Ravens, I think, could turn him around as well and get the potential out of him. Like I said, he's only 26. So he's physical as heck. He's a gutty, gritty lineman, will run you over in most times, but the penalties are hurting the team over there and the consistency. He's got to learn to be consistent. The Ravens could help him with that. The Steelers always need offensive line help too. And the Miami Dolphins desperately need offensive line help too. They really haven't done much after Armstead retired. So that's something that they need to work on as well. And Penning could be a good fit there. I think the best fit for him would be the Ravens, though, especially if they bump him into guard. That could be very beneficial for him. But Penning could be a definite cut candidate too. And guys, that is all of my cut candidates that I have for you guys. Now, there was a lot. There could be a lot more that get cut. There could be some shockers. I had some shockers on here. I had some players that might not be that big of shockers. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Are there players that you think I have missed in the NFL that could possibly be cut? I'm sure there is. They're going through the list of these guys. These are players I think could be cut from their respective teams just based on the moves and the cap hits that they might have, the moves that their teams made in the draft or free agency. Those are my opinions. Let me know what you guys think. Are there players I missed? Are there players that I talked about on your team that you have no interest in cutting? Let me know down in the comments. And thank you so much for joining me in the JETS Jets Ward. See you next time, guys.